Hi and welcome to iGold Israel's YouTube channel. My name is Joshua Feldman. I'm the director of iGold. iGold has been Israel's trusted bullion dealer in physical gold and silver since 2012. Our company is located in Eilat in southern Israel. If you're looking to invest in physical gold and silver bullion products, our company, myself and Aryeh are the people to speak to. So call us on the number below or visit us on our website www.igold.co.il. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We won't be answering a frequently asked question today. Instead, we'll be uploading an educational video. This video will hopefully educate you and help you identify who are the real crooks in this world, and also provide you helpful insight on how to secure your wealth in precious metals, physical gold and silver in Israel tax-free. So before we start the video, I want you to think about today's economy. Why does it always feel like every time we take a step forward, we have to take 2 steps back? Why at the end of every month are we always 1,000 shekels short? And we're working twice as hard at work, putting in extra hours, but at the end of the year, we have nothing in our pockets to show for it. So in this video, I want to answer that question of why the economy of today won't allow us to save wealth, to be able to accumulate enough wealth to pass on to our children. So let's get started on our educational video of how to be a crook in Israel. So we start off with the Class F crook, the petty thief. The petty thief confronts his victims directly, usually brandishing a weapon, and will demand from his victim his valuables that he is carrying. Each crime results in a fixed, once-off reward. This method is very popular among low-level thieves. However, it comes with many risks. Confronting someone in person poses a very significant risk to you. Even if you were to steal from the weakest of society, you never know when you might have a victim who's armed. Secondly, your victims will usually have seen your face, and there's a very high likelihood of eventually being caught by the police. The Class E level crook is the housebreaker. A petty thief will eventually move forward from attacking a victim directly and move on to housebreaking when there's no one around. Each crime results in a much higher reward, that being a house full of valuables of the owner. The risks are much lower to the housebreaker, although not zero. The housebreaker can still leave behind evidence such as fingerprints, even perhaps video evidence from home security cameras, and there is still a very small risk that he'll be arrested. The next class of criminal is a Class D criminal, the financial criminal. A more intelligent criminal avoids the physical risks of the previous 2 petty crooks entirely. The financial criminal uses fraud and deception rather than direct threats and violence to steal wealth from his victims. The financial criminal is usually involved in fraudulent businesses such as binary options trading, or taking stolen credit cards to steal wealth from unsuspecting victims. Even today, there are many Bitcoin scams which sell Bitcoins to individuals who don't know and understand the technology. The personal risk to this type of criminal is also very low, especially physical retaliation from the victims. However, you still might get caught, since most financial crimes leave behind an electronic or paper trail of their crimes. Each crime, however, again, is a once-off theft. You get what you get, and then you move on to your next victim. The next level up from a Class D is a Class C, the sophisticated financial criminal. The more sophisticated financial criminal will create ongoing financial thefts from their customers. They will instead steal a victim's credit card information as an example, and instead of going on a one-off spending spree, they will charge that credit card a small 10 shekel monthly fee, and the victims will be very unlikely to question it. Do this to 100 or even 1,000 victims, and you have an ongoing cash stream, without having to commit a new crime or incur new risks each time. Of course, there are still risks of getting caught and being punished by the law. Now we move on to the elite of crooks, Class B crooks, the counterfeiters. A far better method of theft than any discussed so far is counterfeiting. While this crime has large technical and logistical barriers to entry, it has huge advantages. First of all, there's no direct victim that will notice that they've been robbed. By printing fake money, you're actually robbing everyone who's using the currency. Not only will they not notice the difference, but most people will not even comprehend why counterfeiting is bad or how it hurts anyone. The risk of your victims retaliating against you is almost zero. The risk of them even knowing that they were robbed is also almost zero, and wouldn't be much higher even if they knew you were printing your own cash, simply because people have no idea what money is or how currency works. Once you're set up, you can create an ongoing source of wealth for yourself, with very little physical risk. Of course, the greatest risk is if the authorities find out, then you're in trouble. But besides that risk, this would seem like it would be the pinnacle of being a crook, having an unlimited supply of unearned wealth for yourself, while the victims have no idea that they were even robbed, and in fact will never know that they've even been robbed. Now we've reached the top of the pyramid, Class A crooks, the banksters. The Class A crook, this level of thievery is again based on counterfeiting, but instead of just printing money and buying stuff with it, you print the money and you loan it to other people. At first, this may seem counterintuitive. If you could just print as much money as you want, why bother to print it and loan it out and just give it away? Well, suppose you print 1,000,000 shekels and then lend it to hundreds of different people. They will then feel indebted to you, as if you did them a favor. And then on, they will rob themselves each month and give you a pile of money while feeling a moral obligation to do so. And very ironically, because they imagine the debt to be real, as if you loaned them your own real money, they would view themselves as the criminals if they ever stop paying back your loans. In fact, as a bank, you should sometimes lend counterfeit money out to a point where you know the victim will not be able to possibly repay it. And why would this be? What is the reason? Because when they default on your counterfeit loans from your counterfeit money, you can openly steal their houses, their cars, their valuables by the way of foreclosure, and they will feel bad about it. As if they were the bad guys for not being able to keep up with the payments, while you openly steal everything they have. They will continue to apologize to you for not giving you more, while feeling shame and humiliation. The more you steal with this method, the more you can expand the fraud. In fact, there's no real limit. Eventually, if all goes well, you can have almost everyone in Israel feeling indebted to you. And when they default, you will quite literally own the whole country. And most of your millions of victims will have no idea what happened. They will all be reduced to impoverished slaves. So we've reached Class A crooks, the banksters. Now, some of our inquisitive viewers might think, is there a level above Class A? Yes, there is. There's Class S. We're going to talk a little bit about that now. So we finally reached the S-class crooks. These are the pinnacle, the top of the pyramid. The previously mentioned method is so effective, in fact, that there's only one real way to improve on it. The only risk up until now has been that the authorities will notice and arrest you before you can escape on a boat to a faraway island with your ill-gotten gains. To remove that risk, that final risk, you need to take the final step to bribe the politicians in Israel to legalize your crimes. Once the Knesset has given its legislative blessing to your massive perpetual fraud, and even offered to send the police to arrest and protect you against your victims, should any of them ever wake up to what you are doing, then you will be the supreme crook of Israel. But you will never be the supreme crook of Israel, because someone else beat you to it. In Israel, this group is called the Bank of Israel. They own the Knesset, which legalized their fraud in 1954. Their offices are situated in Kiryat Ben Gurion in Yerushalayim, close to the Knesset, which is Israel's parliament, the Supreme Court, and all the government ministries. Since through their fractional reserve banking scam, a fancy term for legalized counterfeiting, they have stolen more billions of shekels, more than you could possibly know. Their crime is so perfect that they even do it right out in the open, and only a tiny fraction of their victims have any idea what has happened, or have any idea that anything nasty has happened at all. So how does Bank of Israel steal our wealth? First of all, Bank of Israel does it out in the open. They don't try to hide it. Let's look at what they say on their website. Israel's government, in consultation with the governor of the bank, sets a price stability target, an annual increase in the rate of the CPI. The current target is between 1% and 3% a year, and the bank is obliged to strive to achieve that goal. So in regular language, Bank of Israel wants all prices in Israel to go up between 1% and 3% per year, or conversely, they want the value of your money to drop 1% to 3% per year. So how does Bank of Israel achieve this goal of inflation? They do this mainly through two means. Firstly, they manipulate the interest rate, and more importantly, they increase the money supply. Or in regular language, they counterfeit their fake money until they've stolen 1% to 3% of the wealth from the whole of Israel. So Bank of Israel openly says they want the CPI index to be between 1% and 3%, and they're obliged to achieve this goal. So let's go over a quick example. If you have 100,000 in your bank account, by the end of this year, they want your 100,000 to be worth only 97,000. By the end of the second year, 94,000. After 10 years, your 100,000 will be worth only 70,000. That's a loss of 30% of your wealth over 10 years. But it gets even worse. 1% to 3% inflation is their target. Let's look at reality. Let's look at how much they actually printed. Over the past 10 years, the M2 money supply. The M2 is the physical cash in your pocket and also the cash you have in your bank account, your electronic money. That has increased from 400 billion to over 800 billion over the last 10 years, almost twice the amount of money is in circulation. So over the last 10 years, your paper money has lost 50% of its value. Not every asset price has doubled since 2009. Some assets have more than doubled, like property and stocks. Some basic food products and clothing have been fairly stable, but over the last 10 years, the Bank of Israel, through its counterfeiting scheme, has stolen 50% of the wealth of every citizen in Israel and transferred all that wealth to the elite class in Israel, those who own property and stocks. So as we come to the end of this episode, I hope that I've answered the question from the beginning as to why Israelis feel like they're always behind, always poorer at the end of each year, where their wealth is gone and why they cannot save and transfer that wealth onto their children. I hope that this episode has informed you and given you a new understanding of Israel's counterfeit monetary system. I hope that this will give you knowledge on how to secure your wealth in physical gold and silver, which governments and central banks cannot print or counterfeit, which is why it's so important today to hold it in your hand. So to all our viewers, Chag Sameach, and hope you had a good Pesach.